Welcome back. This is episode 1, part 2 of the Better on Purpose podcast. Let's get right to it.
I will say though, and we haven't talked about this yet, but part of my addiction is stimulants and Adderall.
Yeah.
And I was prescribed at a very young age. I went through like a test my doctors did because I hated it. I hated taking that medicine when I was a kid.
You were young?
Took away my personality. I couldn't be myself. I fought it tooth and nail.
I'm against it. Anyone under 16, almost exclusively, but.
Yeah. And we can get into all of that. But then they tried to prove to my parents that he needs it by an experiment where they gave me a bottle of pills. 15 of them were a placebo and 15 of them were the actual medicine.
Interesting.
They had my teachers part of the experiment, and they every single day needed to basically review how I was in all these categories. At the end of the experiment, night and day results with the drug, without the drug. Nobody knew in the experiment which days it was or not,
but
right?
There was like 15 days where you were different.
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly, like they showed my handwriting was different. My everything was
I've never heard of that.
Incredibly different.
Okay.
Right? So then my parents made me take the medicine. Clearly they believed I needed it. Clearly the experiment showed that. 10th grade, I believe. I honestly can't even remember, but I stopped for a couple of years in high school.
Okay.
In those years, I felt like myself again. It was a whole new world. And then I realized if I want to graduate high school, I need to get my shit together. And then I made the conscious decision. I physically cannot perform or retain a goddamn thing
without it. Yep.
So around 10th grade, I started taking it again. My grades went from failing to passing. When I say passing, I mean 66. From like
right above
from like 50 to like 66.
Yeah.
I was the worst student in the world. What happened was I would start taking the medicine, and then I would, instead of listen to what they were telling me in class, I would write like rap songs. I would use my concentration and channel it into writing. And I would write my planner was filled with songs.
About what they were teaching?
No, completely just whatever I wanted to write about. I tuned them out. I still passed because I would listen enough to know what I was doing. If I wanted to listen, I would have got a B plus, something way better.
Yeah.
I can retain when I want to, but the information that was being fed to me was uninteresting to me. And I, at that age, am not wise enough to know that I have to, or else I will fail. And if I fail, I may not get a job. All that's bullshit at the end of the day anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But at the time, that's what society thought, right?
Yep.
It was tough. And then I got out of high school and thought I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. We went to MCC and continued to need to take it and tried getting off of it. And long story short, I still take it. I've needed more and more and more and more as I got older, to the point where I was like, I am taking way too much, and I am now weaning myself off of it. That's a truck backing up.
Oh.
I've cut like 25 milligrams in the past 6 months.
Okay.
And I plan to do another cut. I have a few friends that were able to cut to completely eliminate Adderall.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from both of them is it takes about a month to 2 months where you literally are out of commission.
I've heard that with other people. Yeah.
And
some a little bit longer, some not as long, depending on your lifestyle.
Yes.
You can do things to help your brain repair quicker.
And there's plenty of supplements that advertise themselves as Adderall
natural
replacements and whatnot. Unfortunately, I don't have 2 months
to take off.
I could put my fatherhood on hold knowing the result, what I'm giving up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I've compensated on the other side of things without drinking, eating extremely healthy.
Yeah.
I cut out added sugars.
Good for you.
It's been 3 weeks.
Good for you.
And I've gotten down to my target weight. My floor was like 190. I could not get below that for like 2 years. I finally got to 185. So the Adderall addiction to me is something that I'm still accepting and going to live with until I can see a path to not having to do it any longer, but that's going to take a little bit. I need to get to a point in my life where 2 months hiatus isn't as big of a risk in what could happen in that time. I also need to transition my role a little bit in life because I know that I can perform at a high level in areas that I don't have to concentrate on one thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I can do bursts of management or logical thinking and still apply a lot of these things that the stimulants help my mind do without it. But I can't sit at a computer and work for 8 hours a day while not on the stimulants that my body has a disease the disease needs this to be solved, similar to the disease that you have that prevents you from drinking. The disease I have forces me to, and I know this is debatable. Like, is ADD, ADHD even real? Like, people think, I saw a stat today that if you eliminate, I think, added sugars or
dyes are a big one.
Something to a child's diet before the age of whatever, they're 25, 30% less of being diagnosed with ADHD, which I believe 100%.
Yeah.
I also believe that there is a neurological thing happening that does make the way they are in that sense of zero concentration. If I didn't take it, you would just see what a difference. And like people have ADD, like some people have it and then some people actually do have it.
Yeah. What's interesting too, I was prescribed a stimulant medication, not for ADD, after my last concussion because of it's the same similar symptoms, lack of focus, but never prior to that. And even somewhat during and after that, I didn't fail the ADD tests, but I could not pay attention in school. I could not read. I could not sit there and read a page where literally a week before I could read 20 pages. Last concussion did a lot of damage, but I was thinking about a couple things what you were saying with that. One of the things is I wonder if you tested it too to see from the evidence I've seen, and granted this is anecdotal, but it's also a little bit more than anecdotal. Every time I put a video on social media or YouTube about Adderall or about benzos, I've actually put an Excel sheet. I have some, comments and stuff that people left me because it seems to be the two biggest topics people want to talk about. Some people, they say 4, 5, 6 months to get back to normal. Other people said it 2 weeks. Granted, you've been taking it since you were a kid, but I wonder if maybe it wouldn't be the full 2 months because you are cutting out the other things in life. Maybe you would repair a little quicker, but you've probably been taking it longer than
I also take a
higher dose.
Shit ton.
Yeah. But that could be, and then also what you said about taking it as a kid is what bothers me the most. Is that trade-off worth it? Because
no, I don't. I think that
I don't either. I
would not be in this position I am today had I not started on it. The dependency is established through the years and years and years and years. And that break I took was a clear indicator of needing it because at the time, school, you need to perform, you need to pass, or else, you're looked at like a failure.
But let's say you didn't get put on it at 5. I would say if I me personally had a child that failed all the ADD tests and the doctor said they need it and he's 5 years old, I'd rather say no, start him at 16.
Yeah.
Because, the other problem too is you've been taking it when you're 5, our brain develops all the way till we're 25. So your brain has learned to develop with this substance. So naturally getting off it, it's going to be harder. Where if you started at 20 and tried to get off at 40, I think it would be different than starting at 5 and trying to get off at 25.
1,000%. I see signs in my son of ADHD.
Yeah.
only from the sense of he does not. It's to me being a child, and 16 will. I can't say I will commit to not giving my kid a drug until 16 without actually living through that and making that real judgment. Going into it, it'll always be an absolute last resort.
Yeah. And you'll know more to be able to analyze it with maybe multiple doctors. Is there other things that can do naturally, or anything that could be adjusted, or
also the education model?
Yeah.
Like
very.
I'm not going to, if he can't pay attention to class and doesn't do good as a student, I'm not going to assume that a drug will solve the problem. I'm going to assume that the information that he's being asked to obtain isn't interesting enough for his brain to want to absorb. And I think the way we're teaching our kids can evolve and be way more hands-on for that type of person instead of having to throw them into a prescription.
Yeah, that's a great point.
There's this school that's using AI to teach, and it's unbelievable the amount of success that's coming out of it. And
they could curtail it per student.
100%. And they only have to learn for 2 hours a day. So they spend the rest of that time teaching them how to start businesses, and they have a list of their extracurricular, I can't say that word.
Curricular?
Curriculum.
Curricular, yeah.
And one of the schools, the bunch of Ivy League students out of it it's proving that this works. And that's the type of education model that I see being the future and what I would want my son to be in. I'm seeing the school pop up all over the place. There's
a friend we both know, I'm not going to say her name, but struggles with a lot of ADD and ADHD and stuff. And to your example too, when she took a medical test to become a nurse practitioner, they gave it to her as it was given to everyone else, and she didn't do well. The same test given in a different format, when it was more it was like verbally read on a screen. No different time, no extra time, no cheating, none of that. But it was just verbally read out loud instead of her having to physically read it. And she got one of the highest scores in the whole class. So I think it could curtail their learning too. It's just how we learn.
1,000%.
And there's some psychologists too that talk about young boys specifically, like young boys below like 14, 15 should be playing till they're exhausted almost on a daily basis. And if not, they're going to have symptoms of ADD or ADHD.
Yeah. The thought of my kid locked in a classroom all day long terrifies me.
And the fact that phys ed or gym, whatever you want to call it now too, is getting a lot less than it used to be, where it was more physical activity. Now it's not so much. It's more sit and wait, and then you get up for your one turn for an hour class. I think is hurting it too, and it's not every day. Neither was it when we were in school, but still.
I mean, the system's set up to unfortunately
great workers.
Yeah, and I don't believe in the current system. I'm not going to not give it a chance. However, I think unless I open a school before then, it's been, I dabbled with the idea of it when my sister was thinking about moving back here. She worked at a charter school in California, and the way they taught was very different and similar to what we're talking about, not using any AI or anything like that, but much different approach, a regular school.
I like the schools that too, a gentleman we both know has his kids doing it where they every other day or I forgot how it is, but like they go out, do hikes, and they're doing things out in the woods. They're they're having like physical baking in class that we've gotten rid of, and things like that where there's a lot more hands-on, at least to break up the day. Too.
That's what it has to be. And back to the solution, the problem was we're medicating our kids because they can't perform well in school, because that's really the only benchmark or experiment that is available, right? Like school, right? Yeah. So they can't perform in school, so they must have a problem. The solution must be drugs because that's all we've figured out as a solution. Everything we just discussed should be the solution.
Yeah.
Fortunately, right now, if I was dealing with this, I don't have any of that in this area to really do without homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to keep my kid out of a classroom all day long while still giving him the education he needs to thrive and succeed in life?
And the connection with other kids.
And the connection with other kids, 100%.
Yep.
I don't know what that is. Luckily, he's 2 years old and I have some time.
A couple years to figure it out.
Adderall will not be a candidate for a solution on any short list by any means.
Yeah. And I'll take that a step further too with the specifics to Adderall. I'm a big fan of not doing instant release. I think it gives people a lot higher high. So I've been prescribed Adderall and Vyvanse different points in my life and taken them both, illegally, quote. Recreationally, yeah. I think there's a big thing to be said for if someone is going to be on Adderall for it being a time release. I understand the reason for instance, and maybe later on in the day if they need it, I get that. But still, I think the up from a time release is lower and it's more steady. And then also with Vyvanse or Ritalin, for example, if it's a time release, it's been described to me by a doctor that, like a Vyvanse will take you up to a 5 and it'll float you at a 5 for 6 to 8 hours and then you come down, where an Adderall will take you up to a 7 or 8, it's 6 hours and then you come down. So it's a higher high and a higher low, where I would like a medication that's more even keeled if it's going to be, if it's necessary.
So there's a supplement. This guy built this formula targeted stimulant users. It's called Stasis. And
I think I've seen an add-on for that.
Probably. And, it's a concoction of all these minerals and vitamins and things that should counteract that drop in that fall.
Okay.
Because that crash that you're describing is tough.
Is that in conjunction with taking the Adderall, or you take it instead of?
No, you take it with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a great business model because you're targeting one person. Anyways, there's a nighttime pill, daytime pill.
Okay.
And I never really had that problem prior, but I still take it because it's good for you. It's it's like ashwagandha, magnesium, some other things. I'll throw the whole list of ingredients on the screen so we can see it there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
we both talked about, sorry to cut you off. We both talked about too, like how it gets to a point when your tolerance builds. We could both take, like I could take my Vyvanse, when I was taking it, I could take 3 pills and fall right asleep an hour later, like no questions asked, or wake up at 6 a.m., take it with my goal of being the alarm goes off at 6:30. It's quote kicked in. I'm ready to start the day. I can go right back to bed and like sleep through it. I wonder if the same way it makes us focus on whatever else we need to focus on in life, if we're focusing on our sleep, if we're in it.
I can tell you that I've had some way more vivid dreams than I would if I had not been on it, because I have experienced sleeping all quite a few times. Yeah. And I've had some cool dreams where like you, for a second, feel like you're dreaming. It's almost like lucid dreaming.
Interesting.
And like you can kind of like control your dreams. And I've had some creative thoughts while sleeping at times. And
have these all been in that morning period after you took it?
No.
Okay.
So I also take an instant on top of the extended.
Okay.
If it's this is usually like on a weekend or I'm off vacation.
Yeah.
I don't usually take the instance when I'm on vacation or like I'm not working. But if I do and like I fall, like I'm just like I need this to pick me up because I'm getting so like I use it like a cup of coffee. Like I just take my instant
and you get a boost.
Yeah, and I'll fall asleep, take it. I know I won't be able to sleep. It'll wake me up and like the dreams start happening, and then like I wake up right after the dreams start happening, and the rest is history. But it's interesting that what it can do in your sleep, and that our
Yeah.
tolerance is so high that we can fucking sleep on
Yep.
Adderall.
About 2 years ago, when I was, so I was doing Sober Dogs full time, which was just me at my house, and I was taking my Vyvanse, and I would wake up at like 6:30, take it. There were multiple days I would snooze until 9. My alarm would go off at like 7:45, and I would snooze another full hour just because it was, quote, so pleasurable to sleep. It felt so good, and the dreams were deep, and even that 12 to 18 minute period, I'd set the snooze for longer. You know, I'd get into a deep sleep each time, each cycle, right back.
I 100% can relate, and now can remember after you saying this so many times where I've done the snooze game, man.
The snooze game.
And like with the smartwatches, like it tells you when you're in a deep sleep. So like
Yeah.
I've seen it is what we think it is. I did want to talk about changing topics. The better health or function health that my wife and I experienced recently. And we had chatted about it before I was doing it, because you were saying how you actually ask for way more blood work than is like the default, practice to do at a physical. How did you learn that it was important to find that?
I mean, just listening to a couple podcasts, I heard people talk about it, but basically the big thing was, and I'll give a ton of credit, an ex-girlfriend of mine who's still a friend, Brittany, interesting. Something just smashed the wall.
Scared me a little
Yeah. But Brittany, who's an ex-girlfriend of mine, she's a nurse practitioner, and she was over my house before we were dating. I was watching her dog, and she literally, I got out of the shower one day, and she looked at me, and she's like, now we had talked a couple minutes prior about some medical stuff. She's like, can I tell you something blunt? And I'm like, go ahead. And she's like, you have low testosterone. And I'm like, you could just tell by looking at me. She's like, yeah, like I got big man boobs. I got, big, quote, salami nips. And she's like, I could just tell. And she's like, you tell me you work out 5-6 times a week and you're struggling to lose weight. Tell me you had some struggle with your sleeps, 100%. She sent me for blood work. Afterwards, I started going to see her and the doctor she works for. And a couple things stuck out. Number one was, as soon as I brought the blood work in, the nurse at the place was like, holy shit, you got almost everything checked off here. And I'm like, I didn't fill it out. I don't know what you want me to tell you. And they called the doctor and Brittany, and the doctor and Brittany were like, well, we want to test for all this. We're paying. Insurance is paying. He's paying. So do what we're going to do. They did it. And the second thing is, we traced back my blood work for the prior 15 years. Testosterone was checked a couple times and was low all the way back to the age of 16, and not a single doctor said a thing about it. And I'm not talking low, like the average man, should be between 300 and 1,000, give or take. And that goes down as you age, more towards 300 in the 60s and 70s. Opioids destroy your testosterone. Opioids really destroy it, and concussions can affect it too. Mine was below 100. So this was something like a doctor at 20 years old should have been like, stop, we need to do something right away. But ever since then, it really made me think about these tests and what they're actually testing for, because every doctor prior, 6 different doctors, all sent the exact same test in, which is, cholesterol, lipid panel, maybe a couple vitamins, STD tests if you choose to get for it, and that's about it. And for the first time ever, this doctor and my girlfriend at the time tested all these things, and I found out like, whoa, this vitamin's way off. Whoa, this chemical's way off. Whoa, testosterone's really low. All these different things that you should know about, and I was able to work on and fix a bunch of them. That by fixing X, it actually helped boost testosterone. By getting more vitamin D, helped boost it. All these different things. So it was like, and then of course I went down my own wormhole of research afterwards, where it was like, I want to know everything that's going on inside me. What can I work on? What can be better?
And that's the whole thing. And you just painted the perfect picture as to how we know nothing about our well-being.
Nothing. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the medical system is either taught, not that necessarily some may be their fault, but many are just taught that people don't need this, or they don't need XYZ test because it's just not that important or relevant. Like,
no, it's because it costs money and they're not going to do it.
Yeah, and insurance, too. I mean, to be quite honest, like knowing what I know now about that one specific thing, testosterone, I firmly believe that if that would have been looked at 17, 18,
there's a chance you may not have become an addict because 100%. You wouldn't have gotten your injury.
100%. I think it not at that point in time, it was affecting my sleep, my sexual function, my injury, my bone density, everything. So I would have been sleeping better, and I was way more depressed when it was low. And it's proven. People think it just has to do with muscles and sex. For men, it has to do with everything functioning in our body, every single piece of your body. They're doing some work out there.
So my testosterone is 349.
It's a little low.
And testosterone free is 66.3. Yeah, it says in range is 250 to 1100.
Yeah.
So it's in range, low in range.
I would say from what I've done, researched and looked at everything in the past 5-6 years of really honing in on it, if you could get to like 650, you'd feel a lot better, more energy.
All right, so let me ask you. So I'm waiting. I'll back up. So Function Health, right?
Yeah.
You told me about what you told me about, and I said there's this thing called Function Health where you can sign up and you're going to get 100 markers, biomarkers on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 different panels.
Holy shit.
And learn a lot about what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
They take a ton of blood. They split it into 2 visits because they take so much blood.
So much, yeah.
I fainted the first time.
Really? They took that much?
No, I think the tech just stabbed me in the arm and literally just pulled blood from my skin. Like, because I had the biggest bruise for like 3 days later. It was huge. It looked like it literally like.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I didn't get a bruise. So anyways, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they review, a doctor reviews everything.
Yeah.
You get a summary, you get your notes. Until then though, they do give you a action plan based on your results. And it lists all the foods to avoid, all the foods to enjoy more of, because it'll help bring the things that may be low.
Yeah.
The limits are the ones that will hurt the things that are also low. My limit, these top 5.
Okay.
You ready? Number 1, alcohol. Number 2, soda.
Okay.
Number 3, cow's milk.
Interesting.
Number 4, baked beans. And number 5, lima beans. And then there's an A to Z list of all the things I also should limit, like beets, biscuits, black beans, those are all there's a ton.
Does it give you reasons why? Because like
100%.
beets are supposedly phenomenal for you,
Out of, so far I have 85 biomarkers that I've received. 85 of them, I'm sorry, I've received 85, 6, 7, 8. I've mental math.
Okay.
I've received 88 biomarkers. 85 are in range. 3 are out of range. So of those 3 out of range, which are insulin, vitamin D, which is expected, and I showed some signs of a thyroid globin antibody. It's a
thyroid globulin?
Yes. So the thyroid panel, the rest of it's fine.
Yeah.
But this one antibody showed up. I don't know what it means yet because they haven't said anything. I did use my AI friend, which I want to get into at some point. Help me understand this a little more, just to calm my anxiety of seeing something's wrong with me and not being able to know why or what it means. It does tell you a ton, but it's so vague because it's what it could be.
And then you don't know if it is actually that.
Right.
Yeah.
It does say a lot of times food allergies can cause this.
Okay.
Especially like gluten. And I always thought I might have a gluten allergy or something. So my next step is once I get the summary, I want to get a gluten test.
Okay.
The insulin. This one freaked me out.
Yeah.
So I found out that 90% of Americans are undiagnosed pre-diabetic.
Yeah. It's crazy. My diabetes, I think it's A1C or the number.
Yes,
was
A1C.
pushing really high. And my doctor brought it up about 2 years ago, and I worked really hard to get it down naturally. It's crazy because we eat so much carbs, and our carbs are not good carbs.
Bro, I learned so much about eating from this. So my insulin is 29, which is 1 point higher than in range. However, and I want to retest this because the night before the test, so I had already cut sugar.
Okay.
The night before the test, we're out to dinner with my family in Florida. Did this in Florida.
Yeah.
We were there for a job and we were staying with my parents. She's like, you have to try this dessert. It's the most amazing thing. We went out to this nice dinner. They bought us dinner. And first she told the restaurant that it was Bianca and I's anniversary. So we got this special
Extra
cake.
food.
That's her move. My dad hates it. It's hilarious. The whole ride there, he was bitching about, I can't believe
They're
you
gonna
did
sing
this.
to you.
They hate people like you. They're gonna know. And anyways, they do handwrite a card, leave it on the table, and they bring you a special dessert that you would only get in this circumstance. It's not on the menu.
Knowing your dad, I figured he'd be like, yeah, let's bring it on.
He's an old crouchety. He's just. So we ate that, split that, and then she's like, you got to try this carrot cake. It's the best carrot cake in the world. I don't even like carrot cake, but you got to try this carrot cake. It's that good, whatever. It was very good. It's loaded with sugar. I ate both desserts, haven't had sugar in forever. Test the next day.
Oh, it probably spiked the hell out of you.
It had to.
Yeah.
It's compensating for the lack of need that it thinks, oh, holy shit, all this glucose, I need insulin.
Yep.
That's my thought. So I want to retest that. I also don't even know if the insulin test was in that test or the one before. So I needed to verify that as well.
Okay. I'll give a shout out to this phenomenal account, Glucose Goddess. You ever heard of her?
No, but I'm going to follow her because
she's the best account. And what I love is she gives you real tips and tricks to help. Like, for example, if you eat carrots or lettuce before a big carb meal, it breaks it down like 20%. And she also has a supplement that I've been taking. It's all natural. And I've been testing my glucose with one of those Freestyle Libre.
I got to see. I
have a bunch of them if you want to borrow one.
I never knew I had to go down this road. And exactly like you're saying, they say even if you, in your bite, put on the fork a vegetable, something with fat, fiber, and lean protein.
Yeah.
Mix that with the carbs.
Almost every bite, right?
Yeah. And it will help tremendously.
Yeah.
Like you can still, like I was afraid I'm not going to be able to eat anything.
Carbs ever
right?
again.
But
yeah.
it's the truth is if you balance the meal, you can manage it.
Yeah. And just the order too.
Yes.
Eating like you said,
the vegetables first,
protein first.
Let it slows down digestion.
Yeah.
I would have had no idea of this if I hadn't gotten this test. If my insulin levels were fine, I would have I'm almost happy that they are because I learned all the things that that you're telling me. I just learned 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's intriguing.
And I think most people don't, I've always been curious about the meds I take. Like I was always been one of them, even during and prior to addiction, where like the doctor put me on something, I go home and I look it up. I don't know. I'm just that type of person. Which is ironic too. Like I remember being 16, getting put on an antidepressant. I went to the school library and researched it. Yet at the same time, 2 years later, 3 years later, I'm injecting myself with street water and dope from Joe Schmo, the crack dealer. So, it's really weird. And this girl that I know in recovery was laughing the other day, or when the COVID vaccine was out, they were making fun of some people in recovery. Like, you're scared to get the vaccine, yet what did you used to shoot in your body, But that's a whole separate joke. It was just a topic. But, yeah, I don't think most people are aware of this, and I don't think I would have been nearly as detailed into it if it wasn't for, dating a nurse practitioner who kind of taught me all these things and was also like, vitamin D is a big one. My first year in recovery, I was really depressed, and I had a counselor in rehab tell me, hey, I can't give you medical advice, but I will say vitamin D is one of the biggest things that help a lot of my patients. So I was like, all right, whatever. I went out, I bought a bunch. It's dirt cheap, $10 at Wegmans for 3 months.
You taking it with the K1 or what? K?
Recently, I started taking it with the K2.
K2.
Or is it K1? Maybe it's mixed in.
It's a K something.
Something
But it
K.
helps. It helps absorb it. Apparently,
Yeah.
if you're going to take vitamin D, you need to take it with this specific version. But
yeah, but so I went out then and bought it. I will say, out of any vitamin I've ever taken in my life, that has had the biggest effect on me.
I used to get sore muscles.
Yeah,
Like a couple of months ago, and my calves would be sore, and I was doing a bunch of research, ChatGPT, like what could and I feed it so much until I feel like it knows everything it needs to know
about you,
about the situation.
Oh yeah.
So I know that it's giving me the right answer.
Yeah.
And it can't diagnose anything, but it said vitamin D deficiency could be the cause of this, right?
Yeah.
I knew that I was low in vitamin D because that's on your normal panel the doctor orders. So I started taking it, and miraculously, I never got a sore calf again. Who would have thought?
Yeah. There's so many of those too that are just like little. I firmly believe too that since I've been taking every year prior to the vitamin D, I'd get sick probably 2 or 3 times in the winter like normal. Since then, it's almost 1 and it's less every year. I think it helps a lot with immune system.
Knowing me in my life up to this point, if you were to guess my biological age, what would you guess? Because I have that information. It's pretty interesting.
Prior to the changes I've seen you make the last couple years, I'd maybe guess like 42, 43. Knowing the changes now, I'd say, I don't know how quick it catches up, but would be 33, 32, 33.
That was graceful. My biological age is 26.3.
Beautiful. That's great.
11 years younger.
That's awesome.
I was shocked.
And that's based on all the tests it took.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's with the 2 years of great adjusting to things, cutting out sugar recently, no alcohol.
My wife's, who I always thought was a healthy person her whole life.
Yeah.
But hasn't been as strict as I have recently, is only a couple of years younger than her actual age. So to your point, I would have to think that what I've done recently to my health has an impact on this because I treated my body like shit
prior
up until then.
Yeah.
Lots of sugar. We house ice cream.
Yeah.
We love ice cream. I haven't had ice cream in a month.
Not even like a healthy one, like make your own.
I know a guy who works for Ninja, and he got me the family discount on the new creamy or stirry.
I was
thingy.
just looking one of those up last night to buy one.
The one that like is a soft serve.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yeah. We just ordered it today. I'm so excited.
Oh my God.
Because I
heard our buddy Pat's been using it with his girlfriend Riley, and they love it. And they use protein powder in there.
I heard Billy's rocking it too.
Okay.
And I am so excited. But the age thing, it blows my mind. And I just learning so much about the pre-diabetic and insulin and your glycemic load.
Yeah.
So ever since learning this, I would tell ChatGPT everything I plan on making in my meal. Like, what's the glycemic load? Like, a lot of it has carbs in it. So like I wanted to tell me what to add to this to offset that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's big not eating late. Like you don't want to have a meal before bed. And
I'm bad at that.
Eat early and I get hungry late at night. And I also get the munchies because cannabis gives you that. So it makes it so much freaking harder, dude. Like, Like I used to eat a pint of ice cream every night.
Yeah.
Find chocolate chips, something sweet.
Oh, always. I'll even just eat sprinkles.
And now I have to go eat a handful of pistachios, or we use the Simple Mills, like gluten-free crackers. And those are carb heavy, not as bad. But if I dip it in hummus or cream cheese, that fat,
okay,
that helps with offset that. So, or even a little peanut butter.
Okay. Overall, what I like too about, at least from what I know of that test that you did versus like what I'm saying with blood work, is that does a lot of metabolic tests that blood work doesn't. From what I understand, like dairy allergy, like telling you about milk or how it affects you. I'm pretty sure that does a lot of like metabolic ranges or foods that work with your system or don't.
Yeah. So they have a tremendous amount of add-ons. So the subscription is $500. It includes 2 rounds of full testing.
Okay. $500 a month?
A year.
A year.
For the, it's a subscription model. So they assume you're going to do this continuously. So they say $500 a year. It's a train going by right now. So they have a laundry list of add-ons that range from $30 to a couple $100, like cancer aware, like detection, a full like food sensitivity panel. That's not included. That one's only like $39.
Oh, that's not. Did you do that one?
I didn't do anything. So my plan was to do the main tests, see what comes back.
Yeah.
And if anything points to further testing, add those on later.
Okay.
Originally, I thought that I had to do this out of state because on the website, it says that New York State can charge up to $500 per lab visit.
Ooh.
So if you have to do 4 lab visits and it can be that's an extra $2,000. I'm like, I'm going to be in Florida. There's labs right around the corner from where I'm staying. Go to schedule a test in Buffalo. There's no, they use Quest. There's none here.
In Rochester?
There's tons in Buffalo. So you would have to go to Buffalo to do it.
Okay.
The lab fee for the food sensitivity test was only $9.
Okay.
So
what about the other ones?
I had to like schedule it to even see that.
Okay.
And I didn't actually go all the way into scheduling. If it's $9 per panel, it may add up to be about $500 because there's like 20 panels.
Yeah.
But you can also drive to a different state, or if you're
for $2,000, I would drive to Pennsylvania.
But they say the cost of this, if you were to order this blood work without it, like a provider ordering it.
That's my overall question though, is from the blood work panels I've seen, can you even do this type of blood work? I've never even seen my primary when she's handed me physical blood work recs before to bring in. Like I know everything now is computer, but I've taken a piece of paper in before where there's the standard 70 tests on there that they could check off. I haven't even seen half of these things being available. A1C, thyroid, sure, vitamins, STDs, cholesterol, and a base couple metabolic things. But I've never seen like some of those sensitivity things you're mentioning.
It's probably just a different like way that they have to order it. I would assume as much. It's really the labs doing the testing. So anyone can order labs. You can actually go on Quest's site and order labs straight up through them.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, no. Because I tried and like it makes a doctor like, yeah, you need a referral. But you can get as far as like
my doctor give me a referral.
But or you just do Function Health and
they'll give you
they'll do the whole thing.
Yeah.
They are the doctor. It's like 25, 30,000. I was trying to find it. Like what the cost of all these tests
Holy shit. Are. That makes sense. That first time I went in, I told you where the lady was like, wow, with all the blood work, she was like, this is like $8,000 worth of tests right now. And I was like, I paid my copay. I don't know what you want to say.
It's enlightening. It's things can be, there's a lot of diseases that mean, really, the way this conversation should have started is the diseases in this country have almost all of them increased year after year on diagnosis. Cancer, up. Heart disease, everything.
Diabetes,
up,
every one of them.
Up. Like logically, why? Because
food.
the food is different. The environment, the clothes we put on our backs, scents that are in the air,
our laundry detergent,
cleaning, the toxins,
We're
the microplastics,
with Lysols and
everything.
Yep. There's a couple little things I learned too about that, like how our country measures if a medicine has an X amount of, I'm going to use the word poison in it. If it's not lethal in the one specific dose, it's okay for them to continue to use it because it's such a small amount. We could put it in our magnesium pill, whatever. In places like Europe, they test it long term. So if you're taking magnesium every day, that's going to build up in your system if there's 0.01% of XYZ in there.
Just like the microplastics
here
in
they
water
don't.
bottle.
Yeah.
Right? Like
one water bottle is not going to kill you.
Right.
But in this country, the lobbyists have convinced the government to where, if one water bottle is not going to kill them, it's okay. What if they have 3 a day for the next 30 days? What's that going to do? Oh, we don't need to test that because blah, blah, blah. But other countries, it's like, we do need to test that, just like the dyes in our food. Why are we the only country that has Fruit Loops and all these other foods loaded with dyes when Kellogg's and all them literally make a different Fruit Loop for Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all these other places? Why don't we just use the one they use? Because it's not as bright and colorful.
So let's just assume that what's recommended, what's best for us. So then we have to take matters into our own hands, right?
100%.
Which you can do. It's not very easy, but there's nothing in my fridge or pantry that has anything that's going to hurt me. All of our cleaning products are safe. We go to Florida and Bianca won't do our laundry there because my parents use toxic detergent.
Really?
She'll bring her own laundry detergent. Like,
does she buy it or make it?
She makes it.
Wow.
Yeah. These 3 big ass tubs of some powder, she combines them all. She makes every cleaning solution that we use.
And it works good and smells good?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We're using no non-stick pans, and it's the biggest pain in the ass. I can't cook anymore. Like, I have to let the pan stay on the burner for like 5 minutes with nothing on it and put water on it. And if the water doesn't dissolve and rolls around, it's good to go. And then you have to keep it at a very perfect temperature. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
I suck at it.
Okay.
I thought I was a good cook. But I think they do make some safer non-stick pans. They're probably expensive, but they say one scratch on a non-stick is releasing zillions of... In Function Health can test for all the microplastics.
Really?
Everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Lead, microplastics, metals. The metals and lead are built into the plan, but you got to add on the microplastics. And then there's one other one, chlorine and chemicals from bad water they'll test for.
Okay.
Our water here in Monroe County is, I was just looking the other day, it's like 25 times higher than what is actually the safe. Yeah. Not the FDA safe, but the real safe.
Legit. Is that for Webster too?
I think so.
Okay. I try to use a filter as much as I can, but I'm not great at it. Because again, you add all these things up. It is not cheap.
Bro, our water system was like $6,000.
Jeez.
That's the one thing that I am okay with spending that money on because it's the whole house water softener with the then the triple osmosis filter for the drinking water.
Yeah.
I bring my own water to work.
Into work.
I get in situations where I forget a water and I'm driving and I'm thinking to myself, I can't even get safe water at this moment right now. I can't even get, I can go into a store and get myself a water bottle that's plastic.
Yeah.
Granted, one's not going to kill me, like we know. But just the thought of that I literally have to go home and fill up out of my water or drink the chlorine fill. You can smell the water, the chlorine coming out of the faucets. You're making me
rethink a lot of stuff now too, where like I think about this internally of what I'm doing with my health, but like implementing it externally, I'm not great at it all. With like, I'll implement certain things, but like food, I eat my food. That's why I work out 6 days a week, because I don't eat great. And water, I'll have my filter and I'll use it. It'll run out. I'll go spend a bunch more money on new ones. It runs out. I'm like,
bro, you're one man. I have a warrior of a teammate at home that handles a lot of, I would have never gotten the water thing. She called them. She introduced that. She does all the cleaning stuff. She showed me the podcast that talk about the healthy eating and the poison and half the food.
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult regiment to like have your food ready to be made when you get home. Like, so I'm making wild rice, buying a ton of chicken breasts that I'm putting a bunch of Cajun on, throw them on the grill. I got this like ramen that is better. I forget what it's made of, but it's like made with something else that
like zucchini pasta or one of them.
It's not a vegetable. It's I can't remember. I'll throw it up on the screen. Banana peppers, bunch of broccoli, a little parm on there. Banana peppers, for some reason for me, always gives the perfect like acidic zest to like throw a bunch of flavor into something.
Okay.
Where I would never think banana peppers in this dish would work. And then I just mix it all together and like it's the perfect combo of the glycemic load is low because there's carbs, but there's lean protein, there's fiber, there's vegetables, there's acid, and I eat that and then I'm good. And like I'm I'm a person of habit. Yeah. I am not afraid to do the same thing or eat the same thing.
If it's
I've been eating the same lunch for almost 1.5 years now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I will eat the same thing for dinner every night too.
Wow. Do you ever use any of the apps that are supposed to help you?
Yeah.
Like Yuka?
Fujukate.
I use Yuka. Yeah, and you scan anything and it's supposed to tell you how good it is for you. And so those have been helping too, but
100%.
It sucks. I go around my house and 3/4 of the things got a red rating, and it's like, I thought that was healthy, but it educates you a lot. Like Gatorade's terrible, but you might as well drink a soda,
100%. Like, yeah, like that.
Fujukate.
I mean, that, what you just mentioned is the same thing.
Yeah.
And what's nice is to not have to rely on that so much. And the reason why I am so regimented is because to me that's a pain in the ass to have to do so often. So if I just like get it out of the way and like find all the healthy shit and then just eat that. Yeah. And then once in a while I'll like rescan something like that I think looks good.
Yeah.
But mostly I'm buying the same shit over and over again that I've found out is okay.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even think you taught me something tonight too about, I never would have thought of, like, I make a protein shake when I'm done working out, typing it into ChatGPT and asking them how I could adjust this. What is, give me all the macros and micros of this, what's the glycemic load of this? Cause like, I know when I use regular peanut butter versus sugar-free that doesn't have artificial sugar in there. So real sugar-free or natural, I feel better afterwards.
100%. And ChatGPT remixed my shake after I got the results. It told me it had a high glycemic load, even though it was all natural sugar.
Yeah.
There was no added sugar.
Fruit can give you a lot of.
That's what it was. I blueberries for the fiber and all the antioxidants. Like I'm over here thinking I'm Superman, like with all this stuff. Blueberries,
avocado, and then raspberries.
I don't like avocado.
I don't either, but they're great for you, apparently, again.
So it told me, so it was cherries, blueberries, banana, peanut butter. I use Kachava as my powder. Okay. That was it.
That's what it told you to put in there.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Instead of a full banana, half a banana, handful of avocado, frozen avocado.
Okay.
Okay. Remove the cherries and put in spinach.
Okay.
Boom. Now you're at a glycemic load of like 3 or 4.
With still the blueberries and other stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I was at like a 10, which is still okay. A Snickers is like a 25, 22, I think.
Wow.
That's what a glycemic load of a Snickers is. The problem with sugar is if you eat it by itself, it affects you so much more than if you eat it with other things. So
Yeah.
like you don't have to necessarily.
That's why people have dessert after, but
Exactly.
still it's not great for you.
My dessert, and
It's going to be Ninja Creamy soon.
it will be, but now it's a mint nicotine pouch in my lip. It's my after dinner mint.
It's a dessert.
It's my after dinner mint. And
Yeah. It's so funny. My brother stopped and saw one of the guy we both know, and coffee, and he saw him at his job, and he had like 8 different flavors of nicotine pouches, and he was like, "This is my pre-breakfast one. This is my post-breakfast mint one. This is my," and it's like, oh, geez.
well, it helps me reduce calorie intake.
Yeah, nicotine does that in general.
But
It's
just
an
having
appetite
something in your
suppressant.
lip, like
Yeah.
I don't crave food when I have mint in my mouth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
I
like
gained
chewing gum
so
does the same
much
thing.
weight when I just quit chewing.
Yeah.
So much.
And like as soon as I take it out, I start craving food. My body's like, this is your chance.
Yeah.
You don't have a
You need-
lip in.
I'm a big believer in the oral fixation thing too. And when you say that, people, oh, the oral fixation, but if you were breastfed, it makes perfect sense that, the first year and a half of your life, you're breastfed. And then now later on, like if I don't have my vape, if I'm not hitting it, I have a nicotine pouch in. If I'm not hitting that, I'm eating. If I'm not hitting that, I have a sucker, a piece of gum, a straw I'm chewing on, a toothpick, something going on. And I know that's an anxiety response too, but there is a difference between the pouch and the act of breathing something in. But even like Tony Robbins, the famous motivational speaker, when he gets people to quit smoking, he talks about, what did you do? And they were like, oh, I'd go outside every 2 hours at work and have a cigarette. He's like, so you're going to quit, but you're still going to go outside and take 5 deep breaths outside. Because you're still doing that with a cigarette, And that helped them quit because they're still getting that oral go-to.
And that's what that little tool does, because it controls your breathing.
Yeah.
And it does help. And I know somebody that was a big vapor, and she quit cold turkey right around the same time I quit the vape.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I was like, how the hell did you get through this? And she said, it's a lot of the breathing exercises. Like as soon as you have a craving, you just deep breaths and just breathe and it'll pass. And you just have to be extremely disciplined and committed. And I'll get there. And
yeah,
I'm excited for the day where I'm nicotine free.
But I think the pouches are so much better than the vape. I hate the vape because nicotine itself is an innocuous substance. Like you could use nicotine every day till the day you die and you won't develop anything bad from it.
It's not good for your heart.
I've heard back and forth on that. But I've heard like cigarettes, why they're bad for you is the 56 other chemicals in there, even
It's
pure
the
tobacco.
carcinogens.
Yeah. But like nicotine, I know a lot of people use it as a mental boost. It gives you a big mental boost. It could be for focus.
100%.
But I've heard multiple doctors say on different podcasts, like if you use nicotine every day till the day you die in its pure form, you'll be wildly addicted to it. But like it shouldn't affect any other part of your life.
So let's assume that's all accurate, and I'd be fine with that. However, the form of administration currently, as far as I know, is still not, because there's something in the pouches
that cut your lip. Like Chewy has fiberglass in it to cut your lip open.
and those are chemicals that
Yeah.
can cause cancer.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
That's very true.
I'd love some research on it.
Yeah. It's a good thing we got to dig into.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. I'm just saying anecdotally, I can vape myself sick in 2 seconds. I think the vapes being unregulated in New York,
you mean sick as in you feel
I can get like physically sick, like fall asleep, nodding out, throw up in 2 seconds from my vape. I still get that.
From like bad mixture or like just
No,
you've
just hitting
overdone it?
overdoing it,
Okay.
nicotine sickness.
From straight nicotine.
Straight nicotine sickness.
So if you took that much nicotine in a different form, you would feel the same, you think?
Yeah, but I've never gotten it in another form besides when we were 15 and hit a cigarette for the first time.
I did ask ChatGPT like to rank and analyze like the health risks of each form of nicotine. And it does say that vaping is a way stronger dose and you're getting way more at once. So I can see that.
Yeah. And I mean, the way they sell them now is, especially in a state like New York, you have like the one like I have in my pocket is like a disposable and it's 0.5, nicotine content. And that's it. There's no other, the next disposable one is 0 nicotine content. You can buy the juice ones, which are supposedly in between. That's from, again, what I understand, equivalent to multiple cigarettes. In like one hit of the vape is equivalent to 3 hits of the cigarette back to back to back. Like, so it's just an excessive amount.
It is.
100%. And then who knows what else is in there that we don't know about.
That's what scared me the most was what am I putting in my lungs?
Yeah.
Like even just the vapor itself.
Yeah. Because it can't be great.
But I feel the same way about that with the oils, with the cannabis, and the weed pens.
I somehow feel that's safer though. I don't know why.
With the right stuff, if you're getting clean stuff.
Yeah.
And it's way less frequent, right?
I was going to say ironically, but maybe coincidentally, on the way here, I dropped my other vape in my protein shake and destroyed.
That's ironic.
That's ironic. It's a negative thing.
Yes.
But it could be a positive because maybe it's like a sign where I'm going to, and 2 days ago, I just signed up for New York's text message alert quit line for free, where they send you a text every day with tips and tricks and anecdotes from other people of quitting vaping. So I really would like to.
If it wasn't for the pouches, and I know you've tried them, it just doesn't do the same thing for you.
I think because of chewing tobacco, I'm so used to, in the past, I chewed for years, having this gob of chewing this big. The pouch is so small. So what I noticed is if I get the 1 or 2 milligram ones, but I put 3 in, I can get a good effect.
I got something for you.
Okay. I'm willing to try it because the only thing that I've successfully done recently to quit vaping is I went back to chewing, and I don't want to go back to chewing. It's disgusting. I notice my teeth get affected from it big time. It starts to deteriorate my gums.
Yeah, when I
say chew, I'm not talking about the pouch.
I know, but the pouches also deteriorate your gums.
Yeah, but not like, at least again, anecdotally, the chew, I went to the dentist and she's like, holy shit, your teeth are going to fall out soon, where the pouch, I have not gotten that to that extent at all.
But to your point, if that's the worst thing we're doing, I mean, I do want to quit the cannabis though as well. Which
you will. And again, my dad always says we were a kid too, like with all moderation.
Or I don't mean quit.
Like cut down. You're not
in moderation. I want to do it in moderation.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing with everything we've said today. Like, what's the quality of life at the end? I can cut sugar out completely, but I enjoy my desserts. So maybe is there, 1 day a week? Maybe is there a less of it when I have it? The way to still enjoy something you enjoy without
I don't know, something that
going to be crazy.
You just made me think of?
Yeah.
For me, when the diet changes, like cutting sugar, and like literally since I got the function health test results, ate clean every single meal. And I'm thinking to myself, mostly with the sugar, is like trying to convince myself it's worth trying, like in moderation, because I have similar feelings to what you're feeling, but I'm very afraid that I won't be that I will relapse.
Oh, because you can't control moderation.
Yes. Like I'm afraid like Bianca got me these Simple Mills like cookies, right? And I asked ChatGPT, what's the glycemic load on these? And it's not the worst, but it's not great. Do a half a serving and you'll be okay, which is one fucking little cookie.
Who's going to eat one little cookie?
Exactly. Like, I don't want to tease myself.
Yeah.
It just have one little cookie and then like feel, and I also think there's something to it actually like getting out of your system.
Oh, big time. You don't crave it nearly as much.
Right. So like, I'm afraid I'm going to like, I almost
open a door back up.
I think of it more deeply in with sugar than I do with drinking.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that's the opposite for you.
Yeah. Well, alcohol has a ton of sugar.
And that too. But what I mean is like, you can't have one drink in moderation because you're afraid that you won't be able to go
I want
back.
cocaine and then heroin right after. Yeah.
I'm afraid that if I have some sugar, I'm going to want pizza after and I'm going to want a soda after in a milkshake and
it does hit the same part. That's a funny thing too you brought up. One of the biggest tips they give people in early recovery, especially from alcohol, but any substance, is carry chocolate in your pocket. When you have a drug craving, if you eat a piece of chocolate, it helps it immensely because it's hitting a lot of those same areas of the brain. Yeah.
Yep. Little dopamine hit.
Yep. Big time.
And that's what, like, we're all, it's craving the dopamine, and whether it's sugar, nicotine, cannabis,
porn,
alcohol,
video games,
anything stimulating.
Yeah.
It's
going to the high school next week to speak. Always, every time the teachers are like, can you talk about social media dopamine, video game dopamine, pre-workouts, the caffeine, nicotine, like all these porn, because it's like, it's that quick. Our dopamine in the past is like, set a goal, spend 2 months reaching it and hit it. And then you get, I mean, we still do that,
it's
but
crazy. No, there's so much dopamine involved in a lot of this. I've been doing a lot of business stuff recently and using AI to analyze stuff. And like, I get a rush. And like, when I think about it, like on the way in today, like my heart starts racing and like just thinking about doing it. Like
it's the high before the high.
Yeah. And like talking to somebody who also needs all these other things to hit the dopamine, but what the real one is something that's not a drug.
Yeah.
So imagine like what everyone could do if they found that passion, this shit that makes them tick. And then it's really easy to not have to think about not eating sugar or, I mean, I had the Nick and the cannabis.
Yeah.
And I don't work out like you do. So that's another reason why I have to be so strict with the diet. I would cheat way more and diverse if I was more committed to a regimented like workout routine. I need to, and it's like super important for my well-being. And I had a plan, but walking, Bianca and I have been walking every night for like 2.5, 3 miles after Ronan goes down. Yeah. I learned HIIT walking is way better. So high intensity, so like you just change it up every 5 minutes. But once golf season starts, I'm going to be every morning just walking the course. I mean, like that's with a bag on your back. And
you're going to play every morning?
So I tried to demit my membership this year.
What does that mean?
So apparently in the country club world, there's a thing called demitting, which means you can essentially like pause your membership for something like you are relocating or like a medical thing.
Okay.
I tried to pitch that I wanted to be a really good father and like I didn't want to be at the golf course every day and miss my child growing up. So, and
they said no. That's marketing.
I was like, he's not old enough to golf yet. So like, I can't get him involved and I can't miss these, I got a pool. Like, I just want to be with him. Like last year I golfed like 7 times.
Yeah.
I'm paying a shitload of money a month to use this thing and I'm not using it, but I can't just get rid of it because the investment it was to be there which we got at an extremely discounted rate because I went in with a group.
Yeah.
Right now, if I wanted to join and I was not a member, it's like a $35,000 initiation.
Holy shit.
Yeah. We paid like
you're
a very,
in, you don't want to lose it.
You don't want to lose it. And so I tried to pause it for the year.
Wow.
They said no, respectfully.
Wow. Respectfully, no.
So now
you
I'm
need
like,
to come golf.
So now I'm like, okay, well, I have to get my money's worth.
Yeah.
But I also am not going to miss my kid.
Yeah.
I still will because I spend every morning with them before I go to work.
But again, that's the balance of
It's
life.
the balance, 100%. And like my wife's been yelling, why won't you go? Like I'm stuck in my head. Like I don't want to leave him. Like I will feel something unwell. I won't feel good if I am on a golf course doing something for me when I could be at home with him, which is still for me because it's fulfilling my need for it, but it's also benefiting him greatly.
Yeah.
So I see that more value, even though I'm spending a shit ton of fucking money to not do it, which is so dumb.
But it's also not like you're like again, it's for you. Great, it's for him, but it's also like the choice is not like you're on a golf course and your son is, alone or on a 3-hour bus ride by himself. Like he's in a great environment with a great mother, like with family around. So I think a balance, like, okay, maybe twice a week I'll go and then leave weekends open the morning.
But I'm
with
such
him.
an extremist that
It's one
for
or the
me,
other.
it's like if I'm going to take advantage,
golfing every day.
Every morning, I'm going to walk it's like 6-7 miles. I knew I was going to need to be active. So like if it wasn't that, it was going to have to be something
else. Yeah.
And the walks are good, but like it's not as good as like this is a very hilly terrain. Like I'm getting a workout in. So that's a very positive. I'm going to sacrifice some sleep though, because I want to be there when the sun's up. I'm not going to miss work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be there like 6:30 in the morning, even earlier sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're by yourself, you can walk in 2:45. I'm hoping to hit it in.
Okay.
To work by 9, showered. Won't see Ronan in the mornings. I sacrificed being with him tonight to do this.
Yeah.
Like probably been a couple months since there was an evening where I wasn't with him before he went to bed.
But again, I think we need to have those things in our life, like a good balance of friends when we're out with our guy friends, when we're with our wife, our family, when we're with our kid, like all those things combined make us the healthiest version of us.
1,000%. And that's my biggest opportunity is.
But you're dead right where, I mean, we're similar in this category. I don't do like a little bit, like good. It's either I'm in or I'm out. And that might be
There's a lot of times it's part of the ADD too, but like either abandon something or finish it. Like I don't like go back. Like I don't do things over time. Like I won't have a project that, I'll stop and then I'll get to it later. It's like, I'll go at it until it's done, or I'll go at it and then it gives me too much aggravation that I'm like, fuck this. This isn't worth it. It's done and I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah.
And that's just part of my personality. Like this studio here, like I just went ham one day. I designed it on my computer.
Did you do this all in one day?
No, because like I had to like order all the stuff. Like, but once the panels came, like, like it was up pretty quickly. These curtains, like there's windows on the other side of these curtains here. Like we got a 17-foot curtain. I had to design like cabinets to match the proper proportion of width to the TV and like the paneling. Ikea though, dude, they're the best.
I'd never been to an Ikea in my life prior to going to Texas a couple weeks ago. I walked into Ikea for the first time ever. And
I haven't been in many Ikeas, but I've purchased a ton of stuff online.
I've never been to their website, anything.
It's a good experience. And there's like an AI, like it's not even AI. It's just like a builder where, because this like frame itself can be used with so many different styles of like doors or drawers or shelves. So like this can look so different. You can just pick like what do you want? Drawers, doors, or open shelves? And then, okay, if you're going to do doors, they look like this, or are they like green metal ones? Or are they like paneled like that wood wall back there? Or are they glass? Are they push to open? Or
is this an IKEA builder? AI builder?
This is just IKEA in general. But yes,
But
you
I'm
can
saying you
do
can
that.
build it
You
on
can
their
see
site?
that, yes.
Because I'd like to do that for my studio at home, like where I film YouTube videos and stuff, like build something
So
virtually.
So I'll just tell you this first. If I wanted to buy a TV console that width, which I think is 96 inches, and have it looked somewhat decent quality,
yeah.
I'm going to spend at least $1,000.
Oh yeah, all day long.
Sick ones are like a couple grand, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so wide. That from IKEA, guess how much?
600.
300.
Wow.
And there's shelves inside. They're all pushed
And
to
what's
open.
the catch? You have to put it together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super easy. Like
Yeah.
I've built so many IKEA pieces.
Yeah.
Like at my house, like a lot of our storage things for Ronan and like some other cabinets. I'm gonna redo all our closets. IKEA, dude. It's
Wow.
so cheap. As long as you can put it together. But their instructions are so they don't have words.
I know. It's just I put something together last week from them, or
Just
when we were there in
images.
Texas. Yeah.
Plenty of YouTube videos. Like the one in my
Yeah.
office, I have it hanging on the wall. My mounted floating one console is the exact same one of this, but this height is taller, so you can get it in 3 heights. You can get all these different legs for it if you want.
Did you get the wood paneling from them?
Wood paneling we got from Home Depot. I did a ton of research.
Okay.
There's a ton of really, really like great vendors for these things,
Yeah.
but they're really expensive.
What about the lights?
The lights, I got for my house originally,
Okay.
and they're called Glow-Right, and it's one of the like biggest batteries for like a light that you would put on a wall that is out there. Like you don't have to recharge them often.
Those are called glow, right? The light?
Yeah.
Okay.
They make like bars too that you can like put under cabinets and stuff. The TV is the Samsung frame. I got the trees at Bob's Discount Furniture, which is new to
Never
town.
even heard of that. Okay.
Really affordable stuff.
All right.
Chairs, table, Wayfair, rug, Wayfair.
We're giving a lot of shout outs.
I built these tables.
Shout out. Affiliate links in the description.
These tables I built, and I'm kind of really proud of them. So like the whole mic stand situation was like sort of like important to me. Like,
Did you put this in there, or did the table come prepared for the mic?
no, I built these from scratch.
Wow.
So this was a cutting board. I got 2 round cutting boards. I sanded them, stained them. I fastened them together. Bought these hairpin legs. And I knew that this mic arm came with this in-desk adapter here.
Yeah.
Because they have the clamp that you can clamp on the outside and it'll work as well. But like, that wasn't enough for me. I wanted it to come out of the middle of the table. So I did some research and I said, how big does this hole have to be? How thick does this table have to be to like get this thing in here?
Yeah.
But then like the weight. So like I knew like no table would hold the weight of this.
Yeah.
But I just counterbalanced it with a hook and a sandbag. So that the table now.
Oh, because I was going to say they're very sturdy.
Yes, because they're counterweighted.
Wow.
But I think they look nice. And
You never were like building stuff growing up as much. You become a builder, a DIYer.
yes, I find great enjoyment in like building it myself.
Yeah.
And Ron Swanson inspires me a lot. And I'm rewatching Parks and Rec for the 4th or 5th time. It's my fall asleep to show.
Yeah. Mine's Seinfeld.
And I just saw a recent tidbit about this that I think is very interesting. We like to watch things at night that are familiar, brings us to a safe feeling. There's no anticipation of what's going to happen. There's no tension. You know it. So you feel safe and calm.
Yeah.
And you can fall asleep quicker because there's nothing worse than a show that's so gripping that like,
Yeah. That's why I don't have a TV in my room.
yeah, I have to like fall asleep to something or else my mind, I need to distract my mind from all the thoughts.
Yeah.
And then it's watching show and it's not thinking and it's getting bored and it's calming down. And then I fall asleep. I have a timer on, it goes out.
I've heard The Office too. I've never watched The Office.
It's funny because I also have heard from a ton of people and I know it's an amazing show.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of episodes. I never got into it, and it's a mockumentary. It's my style of TV, like Parks and Rec, Abbott Elementary. The list goes on.
Yeah.
We should find a way to sign off.
What's the sign off way?
I don't know. We can just say see you later. This is done.
Squeegee.
We've had a good.
Well,
good
if you're going to
episode.
post this, check out Sober Dogs too.
Yeah. So Sober Dogs.
If you
made it this far into this freaking video, you better follow Sober Dogs.
Absolutely. Just check out the YouTube. All the links are on there. So I don't have to give every specific link.
But this has been awesome.
Hell yeah.
Like we should do it again. And I feel like my voice has gotten tired like since we began.
A little bit, yeah.
I'd be interested to hear this voice up against my earlier voice.
The first minute, yeah.
Yeah, and just it'd be a fun
you can tell
contrast.
we're getting a little restless too with moving stuff around, checking.
Yeah, I mean we've been sitting here for
2.5 hours.
Holy shnikes.
That's what's wild about podcasts too. Like it's wild that Rogan was so successful and still is when he has 3 hours of somebody talking about science or like.
So this isn't long.
I'm not many. I think most podcasts are a half hour to an hour, but Rogan kind of separated himself where he'll have a lot of scientists on that will talk about glucose for 3.5 hours straight. Or like the ones I always listen to with him are space. I love space. I'm obsessed with astronomy. He'll have a scientist talk about, anything to do with space, black holes, quasars, whatever, for 2 hours and 48 minutes, and he's getting 12 million views. And it's like, they always said, I know for him, one of the things he talks about is, I know he's a controversial person. Some people don't like him, but he's got a lot of good scientists on where people are like, no one's going to listen for 3 hours. Yet 12 million people listened,
Think we'll get 12 million listeners?
Hell yeah.
It's been real. It's been real fun. Thanks for checking in on the first episode of the Better on Purpose podcast, brought to you by Jake Levin, a.k.a. Satchel Levin, a.k.a. Satch Money,
AKA Captivate Media.
This is the end of the first episode of the Better on Purpose podcast. New episodes will be coming out in the near future. Thank you for watching or listening. Either way, you'll see us next time or hear us. Peace and love.